So I'll call the meeting to order. Barbara, maybe you could take roll.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Steve Rieger.
Here.
Pat Redmond.
Here.
Mary Ann Burke.
Here.
Kim Hayes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thanks. The next item on the yet to be approved agenda is approval of the agenda. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. The minutes are on the next page down. Whenever anyone's ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 29th.
I move to approve the minutes from August 29th.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Any objection? The minutes are approved. Is there any old business? I'm not aware of any. Barbara, there's nothing.
No, Mr. Chair.
New business. There was circulated by email to members just before the meeting the resolutions that reflected our discussion from the August 29th meeting. I guess if there's a copy available,
Yes.
I don't think there's anyone from the public, but just for
Yes.
thoroughness, is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on the draft resolutions?
And Mr. Chair, I just will note for your minutes that the public hearing opened at about 5:07. And if you would just like to leave the public hearing open, you can do so.
I think that'd be good. So if someone comes in, we'll be glad to take input. But in the meantime, since there's no one from the public to testify, let's go to the Anchorage Assembly member.
The first one that I passed out.
Pass it on to Kim.
The first one that I passed out was the resolution 2015-1, and the reason that one was passed out first is you probably need to pass it before you pass either the assembly or the school board resolution.
Didn't we pass it before?
You did. It's you passed 2015-1, and this is as amended. And the chair and I can let you know what the two amendments were.
Thank you. I would like to.
Barbara, why don't you go ahead and explain?
Okay. Okay, so in 2015-1, we were taking a look at that as we were preparing these resolutions, and we noticed that in the third paragraph that begins, for example, it said the salary would be deemed to be $29.03 times 2,080 or $49,982, and $29.03 times 2,080 is $60,000. So it was a typo. The 9 should have been a 4. And then the other one, I actually was working with the school district and the and employee relations on section 2. I think you can see what the problem here is. And we'll just take a look at each of these. In the first paragraph of paragraph 2, it starts out for assembly members, and it finishes shall be effective at the start of the first full pay period in that year or month. That's what it read before. Well, that's because employee relations helped us write this. They came to you and asked you to do this. Well, when I was asking the school district about this stuff, they said, well, we've never seen this before. And we don't pay by pay periods. We pay on the first day of the month. So that's not accurate for us. So they asked us to have it say on the first day of the first, well, in any event, that language, I sent that to both and they said, no, this isn't quite right. And if, I'll go and they have new language that they both agreed on, and it says, shall be deemed to be effective, and it's just one sentence, but both of them agree to it. And it's not, for each of them, it means the first full pay period following the change is, I think, what it says. So I asked the employee relations, I said, so if certification of the election is on Tuesday and it's Tuesday, and it would be April 23rd, and we can just get a calendar and I can just show you what, I made them confirm that this is accurate. So for the school district, the election is on the 9th. Certification is on the 23rd. So for the school district, it means it's going to be effective on May 1st. But for the municipality, it has to be effective on the first day of the pay period. So at first, and I think the way this reads now, it's the first day of the full pay period in the month following the change, which could be here, or it could be as far out as here. And that language is very complicated and convoluted. And so I got them to change it, and the change now says it's effective on the first pay period following the change, the first full pay period following the change. So it's either going to be here, or here, or here.
Right, it'll suit whatever situation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So that's what that says, and I'm sorry, either I didn't send you the right copies or Amy and I miscommunicated but I'll, when we take a break, I can run and get that for you.
Okay, so then that means it should say, shall deem to be effective at the start of the first full pay period.
Period.
And in that year or month goes away.
You know, I should be careful. I think I'd like to look at the language, because whatever it says, it's better worded than this, and I think we took out that word deemed, because I don't know what that means.
Shall be
Yes.
superfluous language.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do then is operate under the concept of 2015-1, but wait to see the language to amend it.
Correct. Yeah, I'll bring new copies over then for us.
And for what we're doing today, it doesn't matter. I mean, that timing thing isn't what counts. What counts is section 1. So we're still safe.
Yes, we're good.
Could I ask one last?
Yes.
I mean, wasn't there something about the school district saying we don't have a problem with fractions of dissent?
Yes.
So what's
Didn't we
the...
take care of that?
We did, for everyone.
For
and then
everyone.
the school district said, well, we don't need that. But how did it end up? So,
Well, I think that's up to the board. We assumed the fraction of the cent and in the calculations, and here are the calculations. They're I would call them primitive. So the assembly is on the top and the school district is on the bottom. And I'm sorry I highlighted the middle part there. That makes it a little bit harder to read. But you can see we just calculated the percentages or the rounding, because I think for consistency, I would just argue it's too hard for you or me to manage it separately. So we just, on the second page, you can see I did the calculations. So for the school board members at the bottom on the left-hand side, it has member recommended. So 23,835.03 would be the 1.5% increase compounded until 2019. But if you do the rounding, which is in 2015-1, it comes out to 23,816. And the problem is if I don't do it that way, then your resolution is not effective. So you have to tell me what you want me to do.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if there's input from committee members on this. I mean, we adopted it for everybody under kind of a not exactly accurate assumption because it was a problem for the muni but not for the school district. So it's at least it's not out of bounds to revisit it, but I don't have a problem with sticking with it. But just as long as everyone kind of knows what the actual deal is and is still okay with it.
I think one other way you might want to look at it, the school district is making the rounding decision. So it comes up sometime, but they just make that decision. So in this circumstance, you're making the decision.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, we eliminate the problem if we have it in a number that can't need to be rounded because it's divisible.
Right.
So is there any objection to sticking with the concept of rounding down to the nearest whole cent based on an hourly rate, which is what this
Do you want a motion?
No, because I think we don't, because we aren't changing anything, but I want to make sure
We're all okay with it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're taken care of with 2015-1 until the actual proposed language comes up.
Right, and I'll get that when you excuse me while you're looking at the other ones. So if you're ready to talk about the assembly members, I can tell you what we did here.
Sure.
So first of all, we conceptually changed some language. And if you look at the chair, for example, we've got if the chair isn't newly elected or re-elected, and that's A, and then we've got if the chair is newly elected or if the chair is newly re-elected. All three of those have different pay scenarios. And in the old resolution, they were in a narrative in that paragraph. And it was really hard for me or for employee relations or payroll to understand what that meant. And we made a lot of mistakes on it. And so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to set it out and make sure that everybody understands it. So that's one thing. The effective dates are different because remember, for a newly elected person, they get paid the day after certification. But remember, the other people aren't going to get paid until the first of the pay period.
But aren't those just continuing people?
Maybe, but maybe not. If you're re-elected, then you're entitled to the raise.
Right.
And actually, it would really come up if you were the chair and got bumped down, or you were just an assembly member and got bumped up. That's where it would make a difference.
And what we're saying is we can't do that the next day.
Right.
For a new person, we can pay you the next day because you're brand new. We can get you in, get you oriented, and get you paid for this day. But when we have 5 or 6 assembly members and trying to effectuate changes in the middle of the pay period, we just can't do that.
Right. Yep.
So we've just set it out, and then what in the old resolution, and I see this one still has that mistake. In the title of it says commencing on July 1st of 2019, so that's not accurate. So I don't know what I've done, I somehow or other Amy got and I got mixed up on versions here. But what it's going to say is it just says the last few words in the title, providing effective dates, because they're going to be different. It's not July 1, it's just effective dates, all right? And then, so then let's go to the whereases we discussed at the last meeting. And then, so the first section 1A, if the chair is not newly reelected or newly elected or newly reelected, there's no change in your salary. Right?
Right.
That's easy. Okay. Number 2, if the chair is newly elected, it has to be effective on the day after certification because they have to get paid for as soon as they're elected.
Question.
Yes.
Newly elected to the position of chair?
No, is a newly elected official.
Wholly, like, yeah.
But
Never
how
was.
could you become the chair if you were newly
Didn't that
elected?
happen?
It
Yes,
could
it
happen.
can happen.
It sure
You know,
could.
They may really like it.
What if Mark Begich Mark Begich runs for assembly, he wins and says, all right, team, I want to be chair.
Yeah.
And they elect him chair. He's a newly elected official and he could be the chair.
Yeah.
Seems strange.
Or if
I
you were
would
someone
think
like Dick Cheney who ran
off.
before and then is off for a little while and comes back
Yeah.
on, right? That's another situation that could happen.
Exactly. Okay, so we agree that it could be rare, but since it's
Necessary.
possible, we're, so then the second one is probably going to be the most likely. If the chair is a newly re-elected official to the same seat, the chair's salary shall be effective the first full pay period following certification of the election. For a newly elected or re-elected chair of the assembly, the salary shall be set for 2019. Thank you, Mr. Rieger, for helping me with that language. And increased 1.5% for the subsequent 2 years as follows. And then it has the amount that you've set for 2019, and then the amount for 2020 and 2021. And then you can see those numbers in the chart at the bottom that are highlighted. And it was important for us to provide the calculation and the reference to 2015-1 in this resolution because I think we hope that if there's someone different in payroll or ER or in the clerk's office that we'll all be able to understand how it was calculated. So then in section 2, for the members of the assembly, it's exactly the same. You know, if you're not the chair, and you're not newly elected or not newly reelected, your salary doesn't change. And then we have the 2 times that it could change. If you're newly elected, it's effective the day after certification of the election. If you're newly re-elected, it's effective the first full pay period following certification. And then we set out the salary for the members. And again, that will follow the highlighted portion in the footnote. And it should match the numbers on the spreadsheet. So now, section 3 changed slightly. I think it was just simplified. We just took out a couple of words that were redundant, and I made sure that both the school district and employee relations was satisfied with those words, and they were. And the section 4 did not change. Section 5 did change. So, the school district said that they interpreted the medical allowance, they took it as an annual amount, and they divided it over 12 months since they pay monthly. And that's how they paid the amount. Now, I think employee relations is they can divide it by 12 months too. I think that's what you intended. It was $250. It said biweekly, which is twice a month. Or, it was $250 per pay period. You're right. And so that's how we got to the 6,500. And I did ask employee relations if this was okay, and they didn't get back to me. But the interesting thing is 250 times 12 is, that's not the.
Well, that's if you're paid every 2 weeks, there's an extra pay period.
Yeah,
Got it, because
26
it's 26, right.
I was doing the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
When I multiplied it, I divided it by 26. And
Yeah, it might not be precise, but
right.
it's close.
Right, and I think that helps the municipality because they do 26 pay periods. So for the school board members, I think they're going to end up getting about $540 a month, but
no one's getting less.
Well, that's,
yes, that would be the problem, is if it would be less.
right. And the old resolution, from years ago said bi-weekly, so that is about $540 a month. And it's 4.5 weeks.
Right.
Whatever it is. Actually, in fact, if anything, it seems a little light.
Considering what's happened with medical.
No, just whether that math works out. But it seems like a typical month is, say, 30 days. It seems like the fraction, 250 would be a little higher than $40. But I do think that if you do use 26 months, or 26 weeks in a year, you get really close.
Okay.
What is that? 362 days?
Let's see.
Let's see.
Just got to count.
26 plus 7. Times 2. 364 days. So, yeah, so you're only 1 day off.
The one day
Do
that
that.
throws you every year. Well, they're actually getting better compensation because for the second year, the cost of insurance has gone down in Alaska.
But I doubt their costs have gone down.
Yeah.
For the Muni's costs haven't gone down.
True.
Should, but should and actual are two different things.
Okay. Well, I'll let you finish, Barb. I have a question.
I see that there again in the other draft, the Muni changed the 457, I think, to a 427 or vice versa. So that was one other change in this one, but that was it.
Okay.
It's good to see these glitches being
Cleaned up.
addressed.
So can I go back? I mean, it's just something that occurred to me, and I just want to be thorough. Is it the charter or the code? What is it that says that you cannot increase the salary of a sitting incumbent? Is that it? I mean, what level
I
of the
think
rule
it's
is
in
that?
the charter.
Is it in the charter?
Can't benefit from something that you pass. Is the gist of it. Right.
I was hoping that we had the charter in your packets, but I don't see it.
It would be helpful if we did have a charter in here. I had one at home, but I don't think the one.
Well, we can certainly add that.
Well, let me just tell you what my question is. I just want to make sure we're thorough and you don't miss anything. If you are an incumbent and you are basically frozen on your pay, then you're elected chair. You go all the way to the increased pay. Then you later go back to being a member. You are, according to this, you revert back to the new pay of members. So in the course of all that, what am I missing?
Okay, so you're an incumbent.
Okay.
Let's say let's pick Pete Peterson, because Pete is not running for election. Okay, and Pete gets elected chair. Pete is not a newly elected official, and he is not a newly re-elected official. So his salary, the chair's salary, shall remain the same as currently set in Resolution 2008-2. So that's number A. So
Yep.
Pete's salary does not go up.
Increased.
For being elected
Okay.
chair.
Okay. So the old chair schedule applies to
Yeah.
not new.
Because he
Okay.
won't have been.
I caught it.
Like
Okay.
the appointed chair.
Okay. I'm okay.
But isn't it nice that we've kind of set
For all
those out
scenarios,
aside like that, so we can
Yeah.
figure those out?
Okay. Got it. Okay. Is there any discussion on the draft resolution? This is
The
the
first one, still
resolution
the-
2018-1.
I'll go get them.
And so we can pass them inside.
Okay, so we're going to take out
Oh, I'm gonna have to go get you the whole revised ones. There's a number of edits that I just see that Amy and I missed, so I'm gonna go get the revised one for
Should we
you.
just recess while we get those?
Yes, if
Yeah.
you'd like.
Yeah,
Okay.
just recess, and then
Okay.
we can, and then when we come back, we can actually adopt it for discussion
Okay.
purposes. And then
Yeah.
we have it in front of us. So we're in recess. And the soda. Soda?
No, he didn't drink soda. He's drinking
Oh.
seltzer water.
Seltzer water, okay.
No soda. My husband did my husband does focus groups and market research, and he is doing all the ones for the state about soda, like trying to get kids to stop drinking soda. Because of that, I mean, we didn't drink soda before. I'm like, oh, it is so terrible. Like, so we don't even have it in the house, and they don't get soda.
Good for you.
It's
Yeah,
terrible.
thanks.
Several years ago, I banned it from my house.
When I used to run, when I first started doing that, they were advising us to drink water. I never liked Coke anyways. I would drink like 7 or something. But if you drink a fizzy drink, you can't drink water. I mean, it doesn't do you any good. And then I would be. It wasn't. No, it was just not. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't. So once I started drinking water, pretty soon I wasn't drinking any soda pop at
Yeah.
all. And I just
Right, water actually will satiate your thirst. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Well, some of the school districts have put in those water bottle fillers.
We just got one at our school. The
Really?
PTA paid for it. Actually, it wasn't the PTA, it was the Jogathon. They had all the kids raised money, and however many laps they did, that's you'd ask your mom or dad $1 a mile or whatever, and they would, or $1 a lap. And so they raised all this money and bought one of those refillable water
What
stations.
school was that?
Kincaid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So now all the kids have their cool. It's all about the water bottle and the stickers on the
Oh,
water
yeah,
bottle
you
now.
get to decorate it. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll do that all day long. So you don't ask me first.
Innocent.
Exactly. Easy. It's what it's social
Have
motivation.
they taken pop machines out of the high schools?
I haven't been in a high school in a while because I don't have any high
I
school
think
age
that's the
children.
worst abuse.
I think he's still there. I'm trying to think, I've got to sign up last week. I think I remember seeing, I'm not sure if it's soda or like.
Powerade and all that stuff.
I can't
Yeah,
remember
just as
what
bad.
but I think I've seen something.
I just don't see giving young children or teenagers stimulants. They're stimulated.
Oh, I know
with
this.
the
I
hormones.
assume someone gets money, right? Like the reason you put
Yeah,
a vending machine in your school is because you get a
funds
kickback.
something.
So
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
unfortunate. But
back when I was in high school, that was a big fundraiser for the
Right,
school.
right.
For the,
it's
you
too
know,
bad. That's how we have
Teams
to.
and
Yeah.
extracurricular activities, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
but that just showed how much soda went through that machine. So it really went through it.
At my height, when I was in high school, we had the school store. It was just candy and cookies and stuff. And they have a student store, but it's not food, but it is junk. It's tiny erasers, and I'm like, and so the kids get there and spend all their money on all. I'm like, you don't need all this stuff, but it's not food. It's just junk. But it raises money for the schools.
Well, have you been born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia?
So my husband is right now.
Really?
For a work thing.
Well, then he will know what I'm talking about. If you drink anything but Coca-Cola,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
you were a traitor.
In the first place, yeah.
And I never liked Coke. I
Like
think
you
it's
said, I
right.
could never tell us your secret. That's right. Your dark secret. I remember growing up, the popular thing that my mom was drinking was diet caffeine-free soda, and somehow that was billed as the healthy choice, right?
It's gonna be okay. Yeah.
But
All the
It's all
chemicals
terrible.
in the world.
exactly, and it didn't even taste good.
Mhm.
Never understood that.
They're still fighting the battle, though, of trying against diet anything.
I know.
They don't realize that all of these sugar substitutes are really bad
I watched the documentary, and I don't remember if it was just called Sugar, but it was about here are the 60 names for sugar. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
There's something about that diet soda tricks tricks your body into reacting as if it were, so it just does as much bad for you or
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, nutrition education is lacking. Not that I know where exactly you'd fit it into the day of a child, because they're already extremely packed, but
Well, that's,
How about
I
extra
do
recess?
believe is a parent's responsibility.
oh yeah, I mean, we do that at home, but then you go to school and the hot lunch is horrendous. They spend less per child on hot lunch at school than they do for prisoners' food. Yep, I saw that also. And that was actually in the paper.
It shows you how old I am, but when I was in grammar school, our lunches were cooked
Right.
Yeah.
in
Right.
the kitchen and served to us.
Right.
And
And they do that in
won
the villages.
My
still.
kids-
Some of the villages.
When we were in school, they
Yeah.
didn't cook during the day.
Now everything is in plastic packages and just reheated, so there's not really a, yeah. Well, I mean, that's much
There's a
cheaper that
central-
way.
Central kitchen and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple
Unfortunate.
because I know West still has. We still do some cooking.
But I think about my mom who does not have a clue about what's healthy. I mean, her and I talk about this all the time. She, because of when she was growing up and then when she was having us, it was, yeah, diet soda is good for you. And she's never really recovered from that. So, like, how are you, in her frame of mind, what she was giving us was healthy. So, yeah.
Well, as adults, we're learning all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All these things we thought were so good for
Right.
us, like orange juice.
Yeah, the stuff I used to get when I was a kid.
And I never understood why anyone would juice an orange, because I like the orange.
The good
stuff.
texture and the, yeah. Yeah, that's when, yeah. What, juice is healthy? No, juice is not healthy. You can't have juice, sorry. Love you. But drink water. Put a slice of orange in there just for good measure. Yeah.
Since we're in this context, I'd like to say it might not be pickup time.
Oh, yeah, huh. Well, at a certain point, he has a concert at school. That's why he's with me. But he doesn't have to be there till 6:45, so we'll see how that goes. So my mom worked in a restaurant my whole life. She worked all night. My dad worked all day. He was and is a mailman. So we never had to go to daycare, but that meant nobody cooked. So I grew up only eating, box food, and then I got married pretty young, and we both realized neither of us know how to cook anything. We're going to starve to death. So I figured out how to cook, which was, I'm like, that's what a life lesson, because then you figure out exactly what goes into your food.
Well, again, age is a big determinant, but we had, well, it was sexist. All girls had to take home
Oh, right,
economics.
yeah. Yep.
And I remember when a couple of boys decided they wanted to take it, because that's where the girls were. They were just scorned.
Sean, yeah.
And
And
I
that,
think everybody should learn how to cook.
basic
My
life skills.
son-in-law is the only man I know who does not know how to cook.
My husband
My
knows how to
husband.
cook, but he prefers
Oh,
cooking
yeah.
mac and cheese. And so I'm like, no, you can't take the reins, sorry.
Well, my son-in-law is a Welshman. The Welshmen do not do women's work.
Oh, is it still pretty?
They are very behind. You don't cook?
I cook. I actually kind of enjoy it.
My
It's,
son,
it's simple stuff. It's like 1 ingredient stuff and 2 ingredient stuff.
Hey, that's good
You
You're
know?
job.
going to starve.
Right.
Yeah.
my husband might fry an egg.
My husband's thing is definitely breakfast. He makes an amazing, and it can be lots, it's very complicated, but he loves breakfast food, and I don't like breakfast food. Therefore, I don't cook breakfast.
He
Yeah.
doesn't, and like
me a bagel any
the
day.
day of the election, I wasn't home all day. So yesterday I asked him, what did you feed yourself yesterday? Well, I had some toast. And there was one of those rolls left in the bread box, and it was the heart anyway. So I had a peanut butter sandwich. He's good at peanut
It's
butter.
like a child. PBJ.
Cannot believe
Yep.
that. I mean, it's
No,
not
I know.
like there wasn't anything there, but that's what he thinks. And I went to Kenai, it was a lot, anyway, it was down in the peninsula for 2 days or 3 days this last spring. And I left him with all kinds of things, but I know he only ate eggs and
Uh-huh. I cook lots of food, but his favorite thing to eat is, what did you just eat? Sushi. I don't make sushi.
Good for you.
Well, sushi's not easy.
I'm not an artist. Yeah. He
Yeah,
loves. Is it good?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, it's an all-you-can-eat sushi.
Oh man,
place.
don't
Yeah.
tell me. Uh-oh. We're in trouble now.
I go there.
Where is
That's-
that?
There's one here, and there's one out on Old Sewer.
Old Sewer.
Yeah, kind of just beyond the dining center, heading
Oh.
south. But yeah, I'll just fill up on sushi. I can
Yeah.
cook anytime.
Oh, yeah.
Sushi, at an Asian buffet.
You know, I think
Sushi.
of all the types of food. I was fixing something the other night and I was thinking, we never even would have thought of this growing up.
Oh yeah.
And I grew up in Southern California, so we had
Still, yeah, lots of
Fresh.
different kinds of.
we had all kinds of vegetables and fruits and fish that we ate, avocados, all that stuff. And my husband grew up in Michigan
Mm-hmm.
on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
They had peas and corn and tomatoes and potatoes.
Right.
And they didn't eat much of anything other than
Right.
that, or at least he didn't.
I just got back from Israel, and I ate so much because the food was so fresh and so good and such a variety.
Right.
And meat was very much a secondary thing,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
which I love. That's the way I was raised.
I just read an article that they have, well, makes sense, they have the most vegan restaurants, in the country, and the people go there to travel to eat just because they have such good vegan food.
I'm trying to find where in the charter.
Although I'm tired of
Oh, you know,
falafel.
as long
I
as it's
bet.
covered on the resolution, I was going to
Everywhere.
care for it.
Yep.
But I was worried about that.
There is something about that. Let's see. I'm trying to think where it is because I've seen
You can
it.
take your coat off, it's 100 million degrees in here.
Yeah.
How are you not cooking?
Is there any kind of sushi that's your favorite?
Do you like spicy or not spicy? Spicy.
Do you put the green stuff in the soy sauce?
Wasabi. Do you like the
Wasabi?
Sometimes on accident, sometimes on purpose. He loves spicy food too.
Oh, goodness.
Him and his dad are the sushi guys. They
That's
love
great.
sushi. Yeah, once dad did trick you and put a lot, but you didn't mind. What's your favorite other thing you eat there besides sushi? That's it, right? Sushi. Spring rolls, yeah.
And I like spicy too. Spicy too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's what you ate. Your rolls were spicy too. Then? Oh, they were crab. You're right. I was trying to eat spicy tuna. But you know what he doesn't like? French fries, grilled cheese sandwiches, kid food.
You have a sophisticated palate.
Yeah.
That's right.
Pretty
You do. Unfortunately, his sister's the opposite, so cooking for both of them is kind of a nightmare. She doesn't like anything with texture. Yeah, she's a string bean too.
How boring.
Yeah, exactly. When she was really little, she still doesn't like eggs, but we tricked her and said, "Oh, these aren't eggs; these are chicken embryos," and she'd eat them until she found out what a chicken embryo was. She still wanted them, unless they're cooked in something. Well, it's just a silly word for age. Did you go to the bathroom on your break? No. Did you finish your work? Huh? Oh, yeah, I know.
And you're a copier, Glenn.
Do you?
Yeah, I think. Maybe.
Good door.
No, I hear a copier going. It's,
On the paper. So what precinct do you work at?
21600 Kiernan.
Yep.
Which we had a,
Was your the snafu precinct?
no.
Was that Rome?
Roman?
Who was the captain?
I
I know
don't know.
okay, it was like Ace or Jean or
I
Linus.
have no
Okay.
idea.
Because I know all of
All I
them.
heard was, all we heard, we were too busy. We had 1,905 people on our
Right.
register. We had, let me pull it up here because I made notes. to keep track of these important things going on prior to this birthday. We had 832 sign in,
Mm-hmm.
and we knew that we had, which is a good amount. If we got 1,900 people, those were, and we had 23 question ballots, and we know of, as of before election day, 336 absentee
Still
or
allowed,
early votes.
Sandy? Oh, wow.
So they were
That's
absentee
a
or
great
early votes.
turnout for your
So
precinct.
that would be, that
It's like
was,
70-75%.
well, about we were, our goal was 60%, and I think we made, well, let's see, it's
And
yeah.
you're still getting those.
Yeah, there's still absentee stuff coming in, but
Yeah.
now that was what we knew of as of,
Well, you have that's a high turnout.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We had, we
Did
all.
you have the cool stickers at your precinct?
No,
Oh,
we didn't. No.
that needs to be fixed.
No.
So many complaints from my friends who got those.
Nobody got
You mean
cool
it was a
stickers at the
special?
precinct.
You didn't see the special
Only for
stickers?
early vote.
No.
Yeah,
Well, some of the
I thought it
people
was
got them
really
on
good.
election day too.
Wow.
Some of the, so people
Did they
vary
go-
in their.
Did they go to, maybe they went to early vote?
Maybe they went to Division of Elections instead
Yeah.
of the precinct.
Yeah, because-
Because I early vote anyway. I'm like
Yeah.
collecting.
Well, I
them.
took, my husband had a special needs ballot, which I picked up, and he got one of the cool stickers.
What is he?
The caribou riding
The hipster. Oh, the caribou on the
the
four-wheeler.
four-wheeler. Yeah. I asked, actually, I should have gone early on instead of waiting until the day before. But, so do I get to choose? No.
No,
They said it'd take too long for.
I know.
Can you imagine we had enough people as it was?
Only 8 options? Oh, yeah, no. I got the eagle. I really, really wanted the hipster moose, but next time.
Yeah.
I thought it was like one per day.
Any others?
They had a different
Yeah.
one each day. And
So the artist, Pat Race from Juneau, he's selling all the prints on his website, and I bought all 8 of them as 5x7s for my husband for Christmas. Because I was like, that's what I want for Christmas. So I was like, this is a genius idea.
oh, that's
They had them in all different. So the did you see them? Did you see them?
No, I didn't.
So they're not cartoony in a negative way, just kind of like fun, and they're different animals with their I voted sticker on them.
Yeah.
That's great.
And some of them are in different languages, so Alaska Native languages, there's Tagalog and Spanish, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, they were fun.
Anyway, we had a good turnout, excellent turnout.
Yeah.
Got to see everybody. Everybody was happy to visit.
This is the updated one. It's that section 2. You can just see it's
Oh,
just so much simpler. So they agreed to this. It's effective. The starting shall be effective on the first day of the next full pay period. That's what they wanted.
Much better.
Let's
This one.
maybe it'd be easiest if we took this one up first. So then because then we have the right version when we're referencing it in the other 2 resolutions.
Off of
So
this.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
can-
Are we back on?
I'll call the meeting back to order. Okay, so we have the edited versions of 2015-1 and also the 2 resolutions on the school board and the assembly. And I'll entertain a motion to adopt for discussion purposes the revised 2015-1.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the only question I have is the date line. Still says in past this day of 2015. Should that be today's date?
It absolutely
If we-
should.
Okay, so
So the date should be changed to.
only on the bottom.
Mhm.
Okay. Is any other discussion on 2015-1? Are people ready to vote? Okay. Barbara, do we need a roll call on this resolution? Let's do it. Let's
Yes.
be safe. Okay, so
All right.
So go and take the roll, please.
Mr. Rieger,
I'll vote yes.
Miss Redmond. I'm going to say Pat Redmond. That's going to be easier for me. Pat Redmond,
Yes.
Mary Ann Burke,
Yes.
and Kim Hayes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's adopted. Then let's go back to the assembly draft resolution.
All right.
And I'll entertain a motion to.
All right, here is the updated Assembly draft resolution. And I can tell you the changes that I made. It'll be in the title. The title just now reads that it's establishing the compensation for the Assembly for those members elected or re-elected in the April 2019 regular election and subsequent elections and providing effective dates. So we took out the commencing on July 1st, which was from the old one. And then at the bottom of this page, in paragraph 2, there we started the sentence, if you can see it says for a newly elected chair or re-elected chair. We just started that in a new paragraph. That's the way it was in the other ones, and it's just a little bit clearer. So we've got a new paragraph there, and
That's B2.
B2?
yes, B2, and then there's just a paragraph, a full flush paragraph that follows that. On the second page, we had, in the footnote, there was the reference to Section 2, but that did not need to be there. Section 2 is, of the old resolution, wasn't relevant to that footnote. That was the rounding issue. So we took out Section 2 from footnote 1. And then in Section 5, in the medical allowance, I just double checked to make sure that it was correct, and it was correct. The Muni wanted that changed to 457, and that change had already been in there. So those were the only changes from the last draft we looked at.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt for discussion purposes?
I move to adopt for discussion purposes resolution 2018-1.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
I'm still, do we have to raise their salaries? I mean, this is the part that we really, we've done all this work, but do we need to raise their salaries?
I think it's appropriate.
You know, there's a lot of work they do. They're not, in spite of what the public may think, it's not just sitting there on Tuesday night.
Yeah, last meeting we looked at how many meetings they're required to go to, and then committees and community council, we talked about that and kind of in our discussion of the amounts. So I'm on.
What was the last rate? When was the last raise?
2012 per our resolution where I am. Yeah.
I don't think that we're being rash in doing this.
Is there any other discussion?
Call the question.
Question's been called. I'll vote last. Will you vote, please?
All right, very good. Pat Redmond,
Yes.
Mary Ann Burke,
Yes.
Kim Hayes,
Yes.
and Mr. Chair Rieger.
Yes. Okay, so that's adopted. Are we ready to, do you have a new resolution to
Yes,
pass out?
here's a new one for the school district or the school board. And this one, I think the only change I made in this one, and actually I just reprinted it, was, I'm sorry, is that the resolution number is 2018-2, not X or Z or whatever it was.
We didn't go through 26 versions.
Right.
Crazy.
And we didn't discuss this one, but it is identical to the school board, so that's what you asked me.
The assembly.
The assembly, yes, that's what you asked me to do.
So the bi-weekly is in here. Do we need to change that?
It's in the whereases.
Yes.
I left it in the whereases because that's what it said.
It is technically factual.
I wanted to make that distinction that in Resolution 2008-2,
That's right.
it says biweekly. So I left it that way. But I think this is intriguing, and so you're changing it this time. I think your change is a clarification.
So we're changing it to, wait, bi-weekly is,
Biweekly is fine in the whereas.
okay.
But in section 5, in the
Okay.
medical allowance, it says it's $6,500 per year paid over 12 months and prorated for partial years. So I
Okay,
think,
so that's just left, so it's, that takes care of it, that fixes it.
yes,
All right. Thank you.
yes.
Is there any other discussion on the school board? Oh, that's what, and we haven't adopted it yet. That's, is there a motion to adopt it for discussion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, yes, sorry, I should have done that first. So we've had it explained. Is there any further discussion on the Resolution 2018-2?
Call
You
for
ready for the question? Question's been called for. Barbara, you can take the roll, please.
Pat Redmond,
Yes.
Mary Ann Burke,
Yes.
Kim Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Okay, so 2018-2 is adopted. Is there any other new business? Are there any reports?
No, Mr. Chair.
So we're at member comments. Oh, yes.
Just ask a question. Did you get any phone calls from the public or any queries at all?
No.
We did meet all the public notice requirements?
Yes, we did.
So everyone had the opportunity.
I don't see, but I'll just call for if there's anyone else from the public. And hearing none, we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I might suggest that you open the public hearing and you left it open. You may wish to close the public
okay.
hearing.
Good suggestion. So, hearing no members of the public testifying, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Any objection? Okay, we're adjourned.